Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Over Ottawa Sunday afternoon edition. What an important game and meaningful win that I don't want to downplay. I mean, it was a fun game, but it's like, I don't know. I already feel like I miss games that matter already. It's been so, it hasn't been very long, but anyway, I'm just gonna Sens win 4-3 in overtime against the Philadelphia Flyers. You know what? How would I just hit the button? Well, I'm gonna let Louis talk in a second here. I'm just gonna hit the button though. I'm gonna hit the Sens button because the Philadelphia Flyers they got sensed. Louis, did you figure out if the last time you were on the show was in fact with me anyway was in fact that Philly game? Oh, you know what? Hold on. Sorry. I think your audio is having trouble on my end here. Let me just adjust this. All right, try again.
Are we good now? I don't know if
looks
you
like
got enough.
Looks like we're good now. We're all set now. There we go.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, so it's been a minute for sure. We were talking about this right before we got on, and we were surprised because we love chatting and talking, and it's been so long, and it's just so it's pure poetry that it happened to be against the Flyers when we were dominating, and this time we got to a point where the Sens were getting outshot 22-4 since the halfway part of the period. So we were getting dominated, and now we came back rather than them and won it in overtime. The roles were completely flipped. And I mean, as you said, it's not the most meaningful game to have this happen in, but morally, it feels great. It really does.
Oh yeah, in general, Sens win. It's a gorgeous day outside. I don't really care about my lighting because I refuse to not have my window wide open right now. Half my face is way lighter than the rest of it, but that's okay. I'm just enjoying the beautiful. I don't actually know what the temp is outside. It could be 2 degrees, and I'd be like, "This is gorgeous."
I think it's around 12, if I'm remembering.
Awesome. Love it.
What's up to 15? Oh, look at that! Unreal.
Oh, what a day! What a day! Just don't think about going to work tomorrow. So. Let's talk about the game. Not a whole lot to talk about really in the grand scheme of the Sens season. Obviously, they've already clinched the playoff spot. But this win does keep a few possibilities alive. But the lineup is the main thing I want to talk about with this game. So Tkachuk, apparently the only one that's out with an injury. They seem to be resting everyone else, or maybe it's just an injury prevention resting kind of thing. Ridley Gregg, David Perron, Nick Jensen, and Nicholas Matampalo all scratched. And it kind of stopped about halfway through the second. I was just out of curiosity, I was looking at ice times, and it was very even through the whole lineup about the halfway point of the second. It skewed a little bit more since then. Because since then, by the end of the game, Pinto, Stützle, Batherson, all kind of landing around the 20-minute point for ice time, and Highmore at 11 minutes, Cousins at 13. So there is a bit of separation there. About halfway through the second, though, everyone was sort of between 7 and 9 minutes of ice time. On defense, though, pretty close. Hamnick with the fewest minutes at just shy of 17, and if you don't include Sanderson at 24, the next highest is Chabot at 20. So, they definitely were icing the players that would give them the best shot at winning. Sort of in the second half of the game, a little bit more, but through the first half, I don't know if they were just saying, let's just see what everyone has, and then they went, oh, actually, we can just win this game. We should do that. Ice time anyway, kind of funky. Let's just get straight into first liner, Angus Crookshank today.
Yes.
And as if you could be on for any other show, right? Like this is
the timing is just so perfect. It really is
unreal. What did you think of your boy on the top line? And I guess, just like Louis biases aside, if you can.
Right.
If you can't, it's
if
fine.
I can, I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was solid. He started off the season, I think, with a really good game in Winnipeg, or not in Winnipeg, against Winnipeg, despite the team playing poorly, and then kind of stuck around waiting to be recalled. And then that was really the only other game. The reason I brought it up is because he was the only other time that he really got any sort of deployment that wasn't strictly fourth line. And, we know he can be a bit of a Wolverine and do some work down low in the offensive zone. And I think he had 3 hits today. He could be physical despite his slightly smaller stature, but he is more of an offensive player, 100%. And as a result, I know teams and generally coaches are not going to be too keen on using him strictly in a fourth line role. And he might not shine a ton there because you kind of expect the production from a guy who's a little smaller, a little more skilled. But there you go. You put him in the top line, specifically on the first line with Timmy and Bath. Sure, as you said, the ice time was funky and they were conditionally deploying a lot of different combinations as the game was going on. But he looked good. That's the thing, is I've noticed that I think at the start of his call up, excluding the Winnipeg game, because that was like a 2-week span until he played again, he was a little shaky. But as it's gone on, he's getting way more comfortable with how he's applying pressure and just generally scanning and making plays in the offensive zone. I know anyone probably could have made that pass that he made, which first ever primary assist in his NHL career, by the way, just a great time. But it's just good to have him in the right spot. He's the kind of player that, just like at the end of last year before an injury shut him down, he was clicking with Timmy and Joseph and Giroux and all the different players he was playing with. And I know he's at UFA coming at the end of the year, so we'll see if he'll end up staying. But it's exactly the kind of player you want to have as an option for depth that can either be physical down low, or if there's an injury, you can kind of inject him into the middle six to at least kind of retain some of that offensive firepower that you wouldn't be able to get from other depth call-ups.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he looked really, really solid. I want to talk about him a little bit more later.
Expected goal share too, eh? I think he was around 80%, and he had the least amount of expected goals against when he was on the ice of anyone on the team.
That's wild.
Defensive masterclass from Angus, which we all expected, obviously.
Oh, 100%. Other big storyline of this game, Zetterlund finally gets one. What have you thought about him overall? I've seen a mixed bag of a lot of people saying you gotta shove him down the lineup a little bit, and other people saying no, give him the ice time. He's been having looks, it's just not going in.
Yeah, I was talking about this with a couple other guys during the game, and I know the production has not been there, but from having watched pretty much every game and shift that he's had, it just seems to boil down to a lot of bad luck, obscene levels of PDO bender down the toilet kind of. But the thing is, they call him Quadzilla. The dude is jacked, right?
Yeah.
He is able to really do work, especially in the offensive zone. There was that game in Buffalo where he was on the top line with Tkachuk and Timmy, and the Buffalo defense were completely unable to win any sort of battle in the bottom half of the offensive zone because you stacked Brady and Zetterlund. So no matter what, one of those two was essentially supporting on a puck battle or a retrieval. And he brings that to a level that you don't really see anywhere else on the team after Brady. You don't have a guy that can shoot as well as he does and retrieve pucks on battles like that. Yes, it hasn't resulted in many goals. He only scored a second today, but that was a bit of a nip. He absolutely just caught that and released it, even though the pass got tipped on the way to him, right? He has a really solid shot that you can use. And you look back at his time with, after the trade, I found this interesting. I hadn't seen this until today, but when he was finally cooking for the Devils, he had 20 points in 45 games partway through his first full NHL season. And the Devils then traded for Timo Meier and sent him back to San Jose. And you look at a stint in San Jose, 3 points, all assists in 22 games. It really came to a halt how much he was able to produce. And then the year after, 24 goals, 44 points. This season, 17 goals, 36 points in 64 games for them. And I think a lot of that stems from looking at the data I have on him and obviously what I've watched from him. One of the highest metrics that I track for Zetterlund in his data is his off-puck offensive support. So how he's able to get open, to create chances for himself, or to open lanes in the offensive zone when one of his teammates has the puck. And so much of that relies on a player's ability to anticipate his own teammates' routes and how the system moves to create chances around him. And if you just inject a player newly into that, sure, a really skilled player will be able to make things work right off the bat. But if you build your game around this, your ability to impact it through that skill will just amp up over time as you get more and more comfortable with how the puck is expected to move around you. And we're starting to see it a little bit more now, and it might not be even apparent until either in the playoffs or maybe even the start of next year. So I'm praising patience with Zetterlund. Everything I've seen, I've really liked. And I think the production, I mean, it can really only go up. And I think his play style really gears itself to see a big boost in the future.
Nice. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I definitely am leaning towards, just trying to be patient with him. And it's nice to see things starting to really ramp up here heading into the playoffs rather than just trying to hope that they start to ramp up in the playoffs. Finally, last point I want to make on the lineup as it was today. Hamonic, after being scratched for what, five games? I think it was about maybe 5 games, like ever since it
may have been even more, honestly. Like,
I don't remember what it was.
I can pull it up.
Yeah, like props to the media in general for just like really hammering the questions on Travis Green. Like, why is he in the lineup? And because I think this is his first game since Travis Green just responded to like, "Hey, Hamonic's hurting you with." Oh, I'll have to look at the game tape. And then they, I guess they did for the first time this season. I don't know. It scratched Hamonic for like, I'd say a good 5 or so games. And he's just out there being a liability again. Like, it doesn't matter how many games he's going to watch from the box and just get a good view on how to play defense. Like that slide on that second goal for Philly, when he slides in his stick, like, he's in a good position. I will give him that. He's in a good position. He's got his stick down on the ice. All you got to do is just try and block that play on the wraparound. And instead, he slides feet first into the net, stopping Forsberg. We don't know if Forsberg makes that save, like, but he might. Like, if he has access to actually get to the hug up against the post, he could make that save. The puck is
moving away from the net, almost, like, because of the way you're wrapping it around. It seems like it slides off. I don't remember who scored the goal, but his stick, and it only kind of gets into the net in the end through Hamonic trying to stop it, trying his best, but kicking it and bringing himself into the net with it.
So
it's it's tough.
I don't know. Like, I don't. And like, I get it. He's in the lineup because you've got both Matt and Paolo and Jensen out. Fine. Despite the fact that he is an absolute anchor for Thomas Chabot for most of the game, Chabot has one of his best games of the season. 2 assists and a goal. Granted, that goal comes from Sanderson was on the ice with Chabot on that goal. But like, and it's so funny to watch those first two, at least the first 2 points for Chabot, those 2 assists where Hamonic was his deep partner, and Hamonic is as far away from the play as possible on both of those. You got the Chabot stretch pass to Stützle, which was just gorgeous. And then you've got Chabot keeping it in on the blue line on the which one was that? It was on the Zetterlund goal, I think. Yeah, where Chabot keeps it in at the blue line, and just making sure that Hamonic's as far away from the play as possible, and good things happened. I don't know if I have much else to say. I just wanted to point out that Hamonic's been sitting for an extended period of time, and for lack of a better term, hasn't missed a step since leaving the lineup.
Oh,
It's just unreal. The decision making, it's so bad consistently. It is. I don't get it. I don't know. His mind is fascinating to me.
His mind is okay. Okay. Let's. I'm okay. I've dug up some stats on our work here. So yeah, he's missed 9 games since he's last played, which was, I believe, the loss in Buffalo on March 25th.
Is it that many? Holy.
Yeah. Since then, the Sens have gone, I mean, not counting today. So in that stretch since, the Sens have gone 6-2-1.
Okay.
And I want to shine a light on Chabot's game because, as you said, 3 points despite being Hamonic's default partner for most of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, but Jay Fresh posted this earlier this week. Hamonic has been on the ice for 13 Sens goals at 5-on-5 in 838 minutes this season. That is 0.93 on ice goals per 60, which would be the lowest mark for any defenseman ever recorded since we have that data in 2007-08. Just to put it into perspective, compared to this season alone, the second lowest defenseman is at 1.6. Hamonic's at a 0.9.
Oh my God.
And Chabot, despite this, was able to have a 3-point game tonight. So, I mean, listen, I don't think he plays again. I think the only reason he's playing right now is because if he plays these last 3 games, including what he did today, he can hit 900 career. And I think he's done after that, which is why I believe Matt and Powell's not playing. It's just like, let's get those games for Hammer for everything that he's done for us as a locker room presence and mentor for the team, which that impact has been great, sure. But yeah, the on ice, listen, I think every time that we brought up Hamonic, I've brought up the fact that he was the last amongst all skaters in my model last season.
Yeah,
in standings points contributed. He's very low this year. I think there's only like 4 defensemen under him, but that's probably because
there are that many, to be honest with you.
I honestly think it's because he has not played nearly as much as he did in the past. So it could be a bit of a, not even regressed sample, but just a sample size thing, because like over a bigger period of time, I think it would approach last.
Yeah.
But he got an assist today. Listen, go for him. He got an assist. Shout out to Hammer.
God. Yeah. Big win either way.
Huge. Absolutely.
Slightly in doubt a couple times, but we made for an entertaining game at the very least. I think it was a very entertaining game. With that, I mean, unless there's anything else you want to touch on for this game specifically, but I'm kind of itching to get to a little bit of playoff talk here, because I haven't been on the show since they clinched, so I've been I'm itching for it. But please, if there's anything else you want to talk about this game specific, by all means.
No, we hit everything I wanted to talk to, which was the Angus's game. So I think we're good to move on.
All right. Beautiful. Actually, in that case, I think what we probably want to do is I don't know. I'm not sure what we want to do, to be honest with you. It's either lineups or we'll save lineups. So let's talk about we'll say probable feels like a weak word in this case. The almost certain matchup that the Sens have in the first round here. But before we do that, I just need to talk to the viewers at home and say, if you're looking for ways to help an upstart media company employing over 30 young journalists and analysts across Canada, you can spare some of your spare bucks that are kicking around if you head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/thegameovernetwork. There you can find multiple tiers featuring different rewards and goodies for helping us grow. You got extra access, exclusive looks behind the scenes, Discord benefits, merch discounts, opportunities to give us feedback, and you can join us for special live shows where you can interact with hosts as we launch more ways to improve your experience. If you're not able to spare a few bucks, we do have a free tier available so you don't miss out. And if you really want to help us, make sure to click like and subscribe on YouTube, rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast app, and share our work with your social media of choice. That's the biggest one. The more eyes we can get on here, obviously, the better things are. So if you're enjoying it, more than anything, tell your friend that you think might enjoy this. That's patreon.com/the Game Over Network for tantalizing goodies as we head in to the second period. Okay, so it's like 99.9999999% going to be the Battle of Ontario, which, like, you know, putting my health aside, having the Battle of Ontario and the 2 Florida teams in the first round is unbelievable entertainment. It's so good. But there is a slight chance now with Ottawa winning this game that they can pass Florida. Both the Sens and Panthers... Wait. What's that?
I don't think so anymore.
No?
I don't think so because we won today in overtime. So even if the Sens were to win the next 2 games, that would bring us, and Florida would say lose, both the Sens and the Panthers would be at 98.
Oh, is it just points. Regulation wins as tiebreaker, not regulation overtime?
Wins. The Sens would be at 36, Florida at 37. That's the first tiebreaker. We would have row if it went to that. However, that is not...
okay. Gotcha. For whatever reason, I thought it went straight to row.
Well, I mean, up until like the only way we could have stayed into the possibility of being third, we needed a regulation win today. And right. I mean, came close, but not quite.
Okay. In that case, never mind. It's pretty much almost certainly the Battle of Ontario. Tampa might catch them. Florida probably won't. I mean, Tampa's 4 games back, or 4 points back.
Yeah, Tampa's the only team that can jump the Leafs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so like I said earlier, for my health, the Sens Leafs in the first round. Oh, God. I don't know, man. Like, okay, so cards on the table, though, like, I don't have any of the PTSD from the early 2000s series just because, like I was around, I watched them, I was a little kid, but, like, the investment wasn't there for me at the time. I was like, I want Ottawa to win, but they lost.
I can't remember this.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
For those series in the early 2000s, like, I was, if I'm doing the math in my head here, I would have been not quite 8 when they lost in 2004. So, like, doing the math there, like, yeah, like, I was aware of the playoffs, and I was aware, like, I want Ottawa to win, but, like, as a little kid, I'm like, they lost, I'll go play NHL and I don't care. Like, you know, I'll go outside and play, like, whatever. I am now at the very unhealthy age of 28, and if the Sens lose to the Leafs, it will ruin my entire summer. So I feel like the stakes are much higher for me personally, and a lot of people, you know, anywhere around our age. I don't know, man. I feel like that's the thing. Okay, so I'll ask you this because here's how I'm looking at it. It's between Tampa and Toronto. I feel like Ottawa has a much better chance of beating Toronto in the playoffs. However,
yes, absolutely.
However, if they were to lose to either one of these teams, losing to Toronto, especially with, like, how online I am in this space, I'd have to just, like, put my phone away for the entire summer. I couldn't handle it. Like, I'd get so mad all the time. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it could be incredible. And I do think that the East, for the first round matchups in the East, are all going to be must watch. Because even if you're, like, trying to dump on the Habs a little bit, like, we've seen 8th place Habs beat 1st place Caps before.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
Hurricanes and Devils, a little bit, just because the Devils have fallen off quite a bit.
I was about to say that's easily the worst series.
Easily the worst one, but like the Devils, like I don't know. I guess it depends on how healthy they are for the playoffs, but like there's enough talent there that it could go. I'm not gonna say it could go either way, but like it might not have to go 4 or 5 games. But no, for the Sens with the Leafs, like I think it's an ideal matchup for Ottawa just based on what we've seen this year. Also in the fact that the Leafs suck against playoff teams in the East. Like I can't remember I don't know what their record is now, but I believe after that last Sens win against the Leafs were like 8-10-2 or 8-10-3 against teams in the East in the playoff spot at that point. So not good. I don't know. Is there any part of you at all that's like? Is there any part of you that would prefer Tampa? Not, and I'm not saying like in like an entertainment. Like I think the Battle of Ontario and the Battle of Florida is best just for ratings and entertainment. But just you, purely as a Sens fan, is there any part of you that feels more comfortable with Tampa at all?
No. Like I know. Listen,
I didn't think so, but I felt like I wanted to ask anyway.
Yeah, no. Well, listen, it's a debate we've all been having, right? Like as you said, I was even younger. I was 3 years old when 2004 happened, and I mean, listen, I was a hockey fan very young. Like I still remember the 2007 Cup run. I was 6. I remember like when Alfie scored that goal. I remember going outside and playing road hockey with the entire street. Like it was a great time.
Awesome.
But 3 years old's a little much to remember much of the emotional damage that any chance that I could have received. Sure. But yes, losing to the Leafs would suck. However, I everybody knows I'm a big stats guy. I think if you do an expected value calculation here, you do the potential loss against the Lightning, take the likelihood of it happening and how bad you would feel, like assign it an arbitrary value. So you put those together and you compare it to the probability of beating the Leafs and how bad you would feel about losing to them. I think the likelihood in beating the Leafs is greater enough than beating the Lightning, and the high of beating a Leafs, like the playoff Leafs, would be so good. Like imagine the storylines. There's a decent chance Marner doesn't come back. We could like hold this over their heads and be like, we ran Marner out of town by beating you guys in the playoffs. Like
I never thought about that.
It could be great. It could be so good. It's just I really, really do not want to play the Lightning. I know I think we're 2-2 against them this year, which one of that first win we did on Game Over Together earlier in late October. Great game, phenomenal game. But I really do not like playing into them. Playoff Vasilevsky can always go kind of crazy. Yeah. I know the Leafs goaltending is better this year than it has been in years past. I've always liked Stolarz, and him and Wall are a decent tandem there, but there's so many pieces in Tampa Bay that make it hard. Like they've added Gordon Bjorkstrand since the deadline. I believe they have the second best goal differential in the entire league, only behind the Jets. Yeah, plus 72. That's unreal.
That's ridiculous.
Like, hey, you just go after the names like Hagel, Point, Hedman. Like it does not stop. And then their middle six is just filled with guys like Sorelli and Nick Paul and the additions I mentioned. Like it's just tough to see the Sens being able to squeak out a win against that. And I also think the team we maybe match up against worse, like the Lightning, based purely on overall strength of the team, I think is the best of the other of the three in the Atlantic. However, matchup wise, I think we do terribly against Florida because they play a very similar system and style than we do.
For sure.
And they've been doing it for longer and in a way more successful fashion. So by the Lightning playing Florida and guaranteeing that one of those is out, if we can beat the Leafs, that really makes it easier rather than having to be like, okay, let's say the Leafs lost to the Panthers in the first round and then we somehow find a way to beat the Lightning. We'd still have to play the Panthers.
That's fair.
Like, I know I'm thinking ahead a lot, but like we've known this was a possibility for like a while now. So it's just been running through my mind for a while. I do think my final evaluation is that, I'd rather play the Leafs. I know it could be bad, but also we have to remember the only good thing that came out of them finally breaking their first round curse is that it won't happen against us. It's happened already. It's not like it could be, oh, we're going to be the team that finally gets them their first series win. No, that's already happened. That lessens the potential blow of first round loss. Like, we're playing with house money. We finally made the playoffs. I know we have expectations and we want to be able to cheer for way more than that as fans, and we all deserve it for after everything we've gone through. But I see so many really good things that could come out of a Sens Leafs first round. Like, the entertainment, it's going to be cinema. It really is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think to put it in perspective, if the Sens lose to the Lightning in like 5 games, not to say I won't feel anything, but I'm not going to be that bummed. Like, it's kind of the expectation going in. With the Leafs, it's such a high risk, high reward thing. Excuse me.
The fact that I haven't had to interact with that many Leafs fans in like the last year or two on social media as much either, I think has definitely lessened my hatred maybe a little bit. I don't know if that's just fair. How I'm dealing with social media and stuff. I don't have a lot of Leafs people that I keep up with on Blue Sky as much, so
that's
I'm kind of
totally
vibing
fair.
over here,
And Kelly here in chat, I guess just mostly agrees with us. I would rather lose to Tampa, but I'd rather beat the Leafs if that makes sense. Like, if we beat the Leafs, it would be the funniest thing ever. But if we lost them, I don't know if I could handle dealing with Leafs fans' reactions. They'd be talking, because that's the thing. Like, Leafs fans are talking about like 2000 through 2004, over 20 years later. If the Sens lose to the Leafs in the first round this year, our future children will be hearing about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane how long and granted, like, I mean, maybe it's because they don't have much else to hold on to in the grand scheme of playoff success. And I guess that's why they would be going back to that. But like, the level of annoying would be unreal. But you're right though. The upside of Ottawa beating the Leafs in round 1 and like sort of ending that curse for us as a fan base would just be be amazing.
This is the thing, is I also think a lot of the sustainability from the talk of the early 2000s comes from expectations where we were expected to win a cup. Like, the roster was unreal. The Leafs, I don't remember their exact like roster combinations there throughout the years, but we were expected to win. We were a juggernaut back then. Right now, we're finally making the playoffs for the first time in 7 or 8 years. We're not expected to win. That just I think that would make a loss more bearable and a win that much sweeter.
Yeah. 100%. I'm just checking to see now because I don't remember, like, how many years were Ottawa ahead in the standings to the Leafs. I think the Leafs were usually ahead of Ottawa because it was usually round 2, wasn't it? Or I guess it was round 2.
Maybe you might be right. Actually, I might be misremembering this.
Because from 2000 to 2004, in those 5 seasons, it happened 4 times, I believe. Because Ottawa made it to the conference finals against New Jersey in 2003, and a good reason for that is because they didn't have to deal with Toronto.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, so in 2000, it was 3v6, Toronto in 3. In 2001, it was 2v7, Ottawa in 2.
Crazy. Yeah.
In 2002, it was 2002 must have been second round because it was because Ottawa played Philly in the first round.
Okay.
2003 was the year Ottawa didn't have to deal with it, and it was Ottawa and New Jersey in the. If we're talking about Game 7 heartbreak, Ottawa in the playoffs. Yeah, and then 2004 was 4-5, Toronto 4, Ottawa 5. So,
okay.
It's not like it was an upset every time Toronto beat Ottawa, but like it's a bit more even than you'd like.
Yeah, and it's just that was our window. That was, we knew that the team should be challenging for a cup year in and year out at that point with how good they were, but it just
04, 05 too, like that. Hasek being a year younger, and ideally in a perfect world being healthy.
Well, oh my God, dude, I was looking at the 2006 playoffs, and it's like, if Hasek is healthy, there's no way the Sens lose game 1 against Buffalo like 7-6 or 8-7 or whatever, and then the whole series changes.
Yeah. It's just like, and I know it's a whole lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda, whatever, but like the fact that the Sens made it to, in the span of, though, if we're looking at the Sens as a genuine contender, say like 2000 to like 08, we'll say, most years out of that, you'd say they have a really good shot at the cup. The fact that it's one finals appearance and one other conference finals appearance, like, just not, it's unbelievable. And like, I don't, and to the Leafs' credit, they're a big reason why the Sens underachieved so much during that time when they had just an unreal team. And I think a big chunk of why I'm so scared of that Battle of Ontario round 1 matchup is exactly that. I've seen this before. Granted, I was, 20 years younger, but I've seen it before. And I don't think, because, I think myself and you as well, I'm sure, and basically anyone who's watching or listening to this, we are all so invested in our favorite sports teams to like a detriment that it's I don't know, like I'm trying to be better about it, but like if my team loses in heartbreaking fashion, my mood is ruined for a long time. It's I don't know.
No, it consumes us, and this is the thing, is like, the last time the Sens made the playoffs, I was in grade 10. I remember going to school, or trying to go to school the next day. I hadn't missed school in 9 years. Like, I hadn't missed a day of school. Like, I got very lucky as a kid with, like, sick or injured or whatever.
Sure.
And after that game 7 in 2017, I missed like almost a week's worth of school. My body just gave up. I was fully sick. I just had some sort of, I had no energy. I couldn't bring myself to do anything. I think I also caught something. The timing was terrible, but it was literally just, I could not believe it. And now it's like, I'm gonna have to put myself through something like this again. Like, the only good thing about the Sens not making the playoffs is that this is at the time when exams would be happening in university, and I was able to go through my entire undergrad with not having to worry about the stress of playoffs at the same time as studying for exams. Like, I mean, I would have taken that for sure. Like, over, not making it for 4 or 5 years during that span.
God,
but
it's fascinating hearing where people were at in their life. This is such a depressing thing to say, but it's so interesting to hear where people were at in their life last time the Sens were in the playoffs. Like, I'm turning 29 this summer. This is the second time they've been in the playoffs in my 20s. It is just such a depressing thing to say out loud. Like, last time they were in the playoffs, I was 21. I was working at Domino's. I fake called in sick for that afternoon game against the Bruins where they won Game 6. I'm so glad I did. Yeah. I'm so glad I did. What a moment. I went to Game 5 against the Rangers, the Turris OT winner.
Phenomenal game. What absolutely electric.
What an incredible game. Down 4-2 late in the game. Just, what a game. The best game I've ever been to. And it's not close.
I was about to say, that game, like, I know that run had its moments, but that game was an entire moment. Like, you have that. I think that was the game, right, where Chris Neal went after Tanner Glass. I'm pretty sure, right? Unless that happened during game 2. But game 2 was Pajot.
Game 2 was Pajot 4 goals.
Game 2 was Pajot 4 goals. Game 1 I went to, that was like a very,
that was the game where Carlson scored from the corner, right?
Yes. Yeah. I still have that image seared in my brain, seeing that from the 300s. Just like, what is he doing shooting from? Yo! Like,
I was at Tailgaters that night with classmates from college, and we were all supposed to be like playing pool and hanging out, and I was just standing watching the TV at the bar, not talking to any of them.
That's what I would have been doing. But yeah, like, man, that game 5, I think there was the Chris Neal Tanner Glass thing, the Brassard tying goal late was unbelievable. Like that was
Bouncing
crazy.
puck.
I've never seen a more chaotic goal that somehow just found its way in. The Paul
Nuts.
Romanek call on there is crazy too. Like it was a wild game. Yeah.
Just the best game I've ever been to. I don't think anything's gonna ever come close. I don't know if I can do Sens Leafs playoff game. I don't know. So context: I've been to one Sens Leafs game in my life. It was preseason. I was like 10 years old, and I was berated by Leafs fans. They were shouting, they were yelling at me, and that kind of like made me feel real weird about going to Sens Leafs games in the future. Now it's like 18 years later, I'm still like, but like, what if I don't want to deal with that? Anyway, all right, let's talk playoff lineups, because I think we mostly know what the Sens are going to be doing as far as the lineup goes, but I think we can talk about some depth options where we want to see some stuff going on. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying the show so far, you probably want more of this, I'm assuming, right? Probably. Well, make sure you hit the like button on this video, click subscribe on our channel, and make sure you check the notification bell so you're alerted when we go live. It's after every single Sens game. Asterisk. There aren't that many of us hosting, so like sometimes no one's available. Most Sens games. If you're listening to our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating or even write a positive review. If you really like us, make sure to follow us on your favorite social media platforms. You can find the Game Over Network on Blue Sky at thegameovernetwork.com, on TikTok and Twitter at Game Over NHL, on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn at Game Over Network. And you can find us at thegameovernetwork.com, where you can sign up for our upcoming newsletter. I think that probably caught on my mic. Yeah, all right. I should probably close my window. It's over. The beautiful weather open window is over. Real quick though, I am going to hit the button for period number 3 here as we get into potential playoff lineups. So with the general, like, under the assumption that everyone's healthy for the playoffs, on forward, we I think because we agree patience is the key with Zetterlund, I think it's safe to say top 6 for him. If we're we'll start with forwards. We'll talk forwards first. Zetterlund,
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable top 6? Where do you put him in an ideal scenario? Everyone's healthy. Is he a top 6 winger?
I think I'd be comfortable with it. The problem is,
Okay.
I think there's so many options that I don't know if that's my number one. I think it completely depends on the play style of the other players you're putting him with. Like as forwards are way more interesting than defensemen, because defensemen, I think we already know what's going to happen.
Sure.
And that's going to
keep talking. I'm going to close my window while you're talking.
Okay. So yeah, the forwards really interest me. Obviously, if we have Timmy is anchoring that center spot on line 1 and Brady on left wing there, I did really like how much they clicked with Zetterlund. The thing is, I don't know if that's exactly what I would go for right away, because I think there are better players there, but I think the style could really mesh rather well. Like, my problem is that the way I'm looking at it right now, I think we have 10 players that should be playing in the top 9. And clearly that won't be the case, because Cousins is a 4th liner in my opinion. So him coming back in just bumps down someone else. But essentially you have Tkachuk, Stützle, Giroux, Cousins, Batherson, Pinto, Zetterlund, Amadio, Gregg, Perron, all probably should be in your top 3 lines.
Fair,
the problem is you just don't have space for that, right? I've really liked how much Pinto, Amadio, and then insert either Gregg or Perron have been doing as the shutdown line. Like, they were absolutely cooking against the Habs. I think it was Gregg on that wing for that game, if I remember correctly. But Perron's done pretty solid once he's come in there. So the problem is with doing that, that means you probably have to bring down Perron to like the 4th line if you put Gregg on the 3rd.
He's been playing
And
way too well for that is the problem.
but who goes then? This is the issue. Like I've wrestled with this, and I've been looking at my roster builder tool. LBhockey.com. You can check it out there for anyone who's listening. But
I'm a customer. Because I'll throw it out there. Everyone should.
I was about to say, I got you the renewal notification for you today too, which is great. I was like, nice. Oh, the timing's perfect. Once again,
unbelievable. Everything about today. The timing's ridiculous.
I know. It's just been unrolling perfectly. So for me, I think, especially in the playoffs, I know this is cliche, but like having that built shutdown pair is something to maybe kind of focus your lineup alignment around.
Sure.
Especially in the playoffs, and especially because they're playing as well as they are. If they were just like your basic shutdown line that, you know, made sure nothing happened when they were on the ice, fine. But the fact that they're able to generate offense as well as they are able to neutralize the opposition is really key to me. The problem is, like, I'm looking at these lines and I hadn't changed them since earlier, I think, maybe towards the end of March, and that has Zetterlund on the fourth line, and he can't be there, in my opinion. That's just not an option. I think Amadio and Pinto need to be on that shutdown line for sure. So that means one of Perron or Greg comes down. I think realistically, if you really want to go after having a strong center core, you bump down Greg to be 4C, and you flank him with Cousins and Gaudette.
See, I like Gaudette on the wing.
Amadio.
I really do like him on the wing.
And that would help a lot there by bringing Greg down, because Gaudette's been having a center. So this is obviously scratching Highmore.
How do you look at Greg versus Amadio 3 versus 4 lines? Like, would you ever consider dropping Amadio rather than Greg?
I'm a really big Michael Amadio fan. So I'm not a Ridley Greg hater. Don't put in the press that I'm a Ridley Greg hater. But I think what Amadio brings and what I know Greg has been phenomenal recently, but their entire sample size over this season and previous years, and how Amadio has been consistently able to bring up not only just his level of play, but even his production as a third liner going into the playoffs, dating back to his years with Vegas, is really helping his case on top of his full season sample, right? I just think, like, I'm looking at the data I have on him here. His zone defense, 89th percentile amongst forwards, checking ability, 90th percentile, and everything else is 40 or better, usually in the 50s or 60s. Like, it's really good the way he's able to play that style to shut down opposing lines. And I think Greg, although there's potential to do the same thing, I don't think he's quite at that level yet that Amadio's at, especially with the experience that Amadio brings as well.
For sure.
So I'm always taking Amadio over Greg for that line.
Fair. So your third line is going to be Pinto, Amadio, and Perron?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then are you sticking Tkachuk, Stützle, and Zetterlund? Line 1?
This is what I'm debating Batherson, in my head Cousins?
Right now. I don't know.
I need to pull up some numbers here on Batherson, because I know he's been, I don't know, maybe not. Like, I'm thinking they were rolling this out today throughout certain points. What about Zetterlund, Cousins, Batherson?
I like
that. How do you feel about
that? I've been shocked by how many people I've been seeing online say they got to get Drew off the top line. I don't know why that's such a key thing that so many people are talking about. Like, yeah, he's not, as productive as he once was. He's not an ageless wonder or anything, but he just consistently looks so, and he complements Tkachuk and Stützle so well that
you won't get a player that can think at Tkachuk and Stützle's level like Giroux.
No,
Batherson is around there as well, and he's probably got better. He does have better athletic skills at this point in his career. But I think no matter what, of the 4 options left, I know Cousins has reputation to be able to play a two-way game, and Batterson's been getting better there, and same for Giroux as Cousins, where he's got instincts. The problem is the actual suppression results for all four options, no matter who you're putting on that Tkachuk-Stützle line, the defensive numbers aren't great. And that's not the end of the world, because Timmy has turned his defensive game around big time this year. And it's gotten him to really be at a point where you don't need to flank him with an experienced guy who, yes, can help him offensively, but can really do well on the defensive side. Like Timmy's at an 82nd percentile zone defense score in my cards this season, which really speaks to how well he's gone up, because that was easily the worst part of his game. Like last year, that was 10th percentile. It's a huge jump for any player. Because of that, I'm thinking, okay, what are the other holes that you're going to have throughout the line? If you put Giroux, Cousins, Batherson together, I think that's missing forechecking and puck battle winning ability. And we've gone over how Zetterlund really helps there. And I think adding him to that line will really help, because you have the puck carrying from Cousins and Batherson. You have the dual threat ability of both Cousins with Batherson being able to be good shooters and passers. Giroux, I think, is similar, but does not bring as much of the forechecking, whereas you already have Tkachuk on the first line. So rather than loading up on forechecking on line one, you kind of spread that out on L2. So that way you have a way to get possession better no matter what, and then extend that until you can capitalize on it on both lines. So I think that essentially brings me to Tkachuk, Stützle, Giroux, Zetterlund, Cousins, Batherson. And I think Zetterlund has said even himself that he prefers playing his offside. Does that? I don't know if that rings a bell with you too, but I think I remember hearing that, where he's mentioned being like, oh, because he's a right shot, but he prefers playing the left wing, which is exactly how I play hockey. Like I'd much rather be on the offside, because it gives you so many more opportunities to play with the puck when you have it against a defenseman. You have so much more room in your hip pocket. Catching passes cross ice on the breakout are way easier with how your body is open to the puck, rather than having to like go around and completely stop your momentum if you were on the other side. And one-timers are made so much easier too. It's also easier to conceal how you're shooting sometimes, because you're directly on the inside and your body does most of the work going towards the puck, rather than having to kind of fling yourself that way when you're on your strong side. So I think having him there open for passes from Batherson or Cousins across the seam in the center of the ice could really work. And I honestly, going into this exercise, I had no idea what I'd make the lines, but I guess I've talked my way into what the forward lines would be here.
Yeah, well, Matthew in the chat has said in about 17 different ways that he really wants the second line to be Batherson, Cousins, and Perron.
Yeah, I see the messages going out now.
Yeah, it's like we saw it the first time, man. Like I appreciate the I love the intensity, I love the passion, but that's a lot of different ways to say the same thing.
I listen, and the thing is, I don't disagree with them. Like
they play well together.
The addition of Zetterlund, of Cousins, makes it so you have so many more permutations you can try out in your throughout your four lines. Like one of them could stick and you just roll with that, right? Like I think they should be at a point where no matter what the lines that they go in with, they should not be afraid to remain flexible with how they create their lines throughout the playoffs, because we've seen teams being able to bounce back, whether that's because of injuries and shuffling around, or even just because of dry spells, and that can save them big time or sink them further, right? And the fact that we finally have forward depth, even relative to 2 months ago, is huge. And I saw Matthew also say that Crookshank should be on the fourth line, so right away he's good in my books, personally.
Yeah, that fourth line involves scratching Greg by the looks of it, so I don't know about that.
No. We can scratch Gaudette. I know. I don't know if my buddy Patty Kennedy is in here, but he will not be happy to hear that. But I definitely
when's
go with
the last
Cousins,
time you've seen the Sens scratch a
line.
guy with 17 goals now? Gaudette has.
This is the thing, is that he does have the production, but how much of that has been not in the first 25 games of the season?
Yeah, and I guess worth noting how much that was Timmy just feeding him for those first few. Yeah, but I love that conversation that we had earlier Gaudette and it's such an interesting, because we were talking about how, like, you could see, like, Crookshank dropping down to the fourth line. That's that whole conversation of, like, can you play the skilled players down in the lineup? And that's exactly why so many Sens fans in the preseason were like, no, Gaudette can't be 4C. You need, like, someone who just plays a physical game. I don't know. What I don't want is for the Sens coaching staff to try and big brain it and match Toronto's lineup. You know what I mean? They're going to look at, like, because Toronto splits up their star players so often in their lineup. And I don't want the Sens coaching staff to be like, okay, we need, like, Batherson on the third line or, something like that. So I hope they just stick with the lineup and see how it goes. And yeah, like you said, defensively,
the big thing that worries me for that is more like, I am thinking about the 5-on-5, but the thing that worries me most is their power play into our penalty kill. Like, I'm looking at the numbers. Speaking of LB hockey, I'm building a new team cards dashboard currently, and I don't have it fully laid out, but I've got all the data and the programming done. And that's easily the biggest disparity of any of their with puck metrics versus our without pucks. The one that stands out the most is their power play versus our penalty kill. It's a little bit sad to look at the difference there. Like, we better not be taking many penalties.
Those Leafs forwards are going to, like, and granted, like, I'm saying this understanding that the Sens swept the 3 games in the regular season. But when it comes to, like, playoffs are a different animal. You never know what's going to happen. It's such a small sample size. 7 games is so, when you say, like, the 7-game sample size is so small, that 3-game sample size of the regular season is almost worthless. Yep. But I just look at the lineups on paper, and I just can't see how the Leafs don't eat up that diamond PK formation that the Sens refuse to move off of.
Yeah.
Like, if you survive the onslaught, fine, but, like, you can't have your PK strategy can't be just try and eat anything that comes in when it's Matthews and Nylander and Tavares shooting. Like, that's it worked for 3 games. I'm not convinced it's going to work for 7.
Yeah, it's the thing that does work in our favor is the way penalties get handled. I know, like, statistically speaking, the drop or change in penalties being called might not differ too much, but because of the more physical style, there should be more. So that's why we get the feel that they're not being called as much.
I think it's been proven that there are more penalties called in the playoffs than the regular season. It's just that, like, the infraction number goes way up. So they're not calling considerably more than like
the percent of calls that get called, or the percent of call worthy plays that get called, probably goes down, but total calls goes up.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the thing, is maybe we don't even have to see the Leafs power play that much, like, maybe, or as much as
that's fair. Expect. That's fair.
The one thing that I think does work in our favor, and because I want to spin it for a pro Sens thing, obviously, given that we're Game Over Ottawa, is the biggest disparity for our offense versus their defense is our ability to effectively forecheck and the lack of their ability to break the puck out cleanly often at a high volume. So that is, I think that was a big thing for the regular season record in the end, and what helped the Sens towards winning that series pretty cleanly. Are there going to be changes in how they play both on our side of things and on theirs? I'm not too sure, but that's one thing I'm definitely looking out for, is because the Sens their ability to enter the zone might not be the greatest, but the pressure that they put on after dumps, or when it comes to trying to stop opposing breakout attempts, is very strong. That is definitely one of the team's best attributes. While the Leafs are pretty low in terms of whenever they have the puck and try to break it out, how much value they gain from it, whether that's they're being forced to dump it out and clear it and turn the puck over because they're being pressured so quickly and often, or they're not able to scan as well as they could and miss good chances, or just straight up turn it over and start a possession for the other team in their own zone. So that's one thing that I think the Sens should definitely stick to and will help them the most if the styles don't change too much. And that is a more occurring phenomenon than a power play penalty kill matchup, right? Because this is happening multiple times per game at 5-on-5, pretty much every shift or every other shift. So this is something that can compound way more often that you'd see the effect of like immediately.
I'm still scared, but like you're making
Obviously,
excellent points. Though you're making excellent points. It's just like, okay, to put in perspective, a few years back, Sportsnet was replaying the two World Series clinching games for the Blue Jays from 92 and 93. And, you know, obviously I know the result of those games. I was still nervous while I was watching it. So no matter how many arguments there are for Ottawa in this case, no matter how strong of an argument it is that Ottawa has a good shot of beating the Leafs, I will find a way to be nervous, even if I know the result ahead of time.
No matter what I say here, I'm going to be like the next couple weeks for me, I will be an absolute fiend. Like I don't even have words because it's been so long since this has happened most recently.
Dude,
I apologize in advance for anybody that I interact with while the Sens are playing or anything, because I will just be like, no thoughts, head empty, just like, please win, my God.
Man, so my two sports are hockey and baseball. Diehard Sens fan, naturally. There's this show. And I'm a diehard Blue Jays fan. I haven't seen one of my teams win a playoff game since 2017. The Blue Jays have been swept.
That's true.
2020, 2022, 2023. It has been so painful as a sports fan the last almost decade. It is absurd how bad things have been for my teams. Those late 2010s, 67s teams are what saved me. I will say there's still heartbreak involved there, obviously.
Don't get me started on the 2019 67s playoff run, man. Oh my God. I was I went to Halifax for the Bim Cup. Like, I had tickets. I was on a streak that lasted like almost 2 years of not missing a single home game that included that playoff run. Like, and then we would have won the year after, but COVID hit. Oh, Marco Rossi would have absolutely fiended.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. It is.
I don't know, man. Did they have to? It doesn't matter. I was about to be like, did they have to acquire DiPietro and then it doesn't matter who was in the net. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, whoever was in net was probably going to get injured, but because they got DiPietro, like, no one else had really played since like February. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't like.
Well, listen. Actually, no. There's one thing I do want to touch on there. So who was in nets was Cedric Andre, and he was one of the best junior goalies in terms of consistency that I've ever watched. Even though he was my height, he was 5'10". All right, as a goalie, that's hard, and I want to shout him out specifically because in 2021, maybe 2022, we had a beer league final. That was anyway. We had a tournament the week before. We had our semis on the Wednesday, and then the Sunday after that, we were supposed to be our finals. And we contacted the league after that game on the Wednesday. Now that we knew that we were in the finals, we're like, hey, you're doing this on Mother's Day, like the finals at like 5:30 p.m. Like, we either have plans or like most people, like, we are a younger team. A lot of people on the other team, I'd assume, are like dads or like have wives or like whatever. So like they might have Mother's Day plans as well with their own wives or moms or whatever. And so we were contacting the league like, hey, like, we have guys that can't make it. The other team's gonna as well. Like, can we reschedule this? And they were like, no, you should have told us earlier. We didn't know we could have been. Anyway, whole thing. We didn't have a goalie. We cold DM Cedric Andre on Instagram through his new realtor account because he had just stopped playing. The year before, he was playing for the Belleville Senators, by the way, during COVID. And we were like, yo, we have a game tomorrow night. Anyway, you're in the city and can make it out. And he showed up.
No
He came to the
way.
game. He was our goalie. I think we won 8-1.
Holy
For what
shit.
it's worth, that was the finals too. For what it's worth, I think we were playing the better team in the semis. There was a whole thing where a team got kicked out and that shook things up. But the other team, I don't think, had more shots than we had goals, so it wouldn't have mattered who was in nets. However, I'm pretty sure Seti got 3 assists because there was a point where he knew it. Yeah, he would literally just go play the puck behind the net and hammer on like a Carlson bomb of a pass for a 2-on-1 for my buddy and I. We'd score. We'd be like, it was great. We were able to go out with drinks after him as well. But yeah, I every time I get the chance to shout out Seti Andre, like I do because he was so great for that. And, just a generally great goalie for the 67s during his entire tenure.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, and he was so solid that season. And they're like, what if we just got DiPietro now? I don't know why they made that move. Like, it didn't hurt the team by any means, but it's like, I don't know. I didn't understand the move at the time. I was like, what, you need 2 of the top 5 goalies?
I mean, he was the team. He was the Team Canada World Junior Star. They just felt like this is the best the roster will ever be. And for what it's worth, I have not seen that 2-year span. I've never seen a team dominate more night in and night out than I have. Like, that was an unbelievable roster. And I'll never stop thinking about that team. Like that was the equivalent of the 2000 and the early 2000 Sens was those 67s teams. And they were like breaking records for how good they were. Marco Rossi got 120 something points in 50 something games. Like as a draft eligible player, that's unbelievable. Ty Felleber would never miss from the high slot ever. And there were so many wins that were unreal. Like there was a quadruple overtime winner, I think, in Sudbury to push them to round 3. They won the first 14 games that they played in the playoffs. Ty Felleber scored
in a row. Like I've never seen anything like that.
No, and so many of them were in spectacular fashion. Like the Sudbury game, the last one in Oshawa to send us to the finals was Ty Felleber scoring late on a power play, and since it was an extended power play, early at the start of overtime. Like it felt like such magic, and I was so excited. I that year I had gotten like a WestJet gift card for my birthday, and a couple buddies and I booked an Airbnb. We were taking time off like high school, grade 12, to go to the Mem Cup. And I was like, oh my God, we're gonna get to watch them. And then they just lost 4 straight, and then we never talk about it again.
It was painful. No, my buddies and I were genuinely thinking about that Halifax trip. Like, we were ready for it. Anyway, let's head on over to our final segment here. Let's head on over to overtime. But before we get to that, Game Over has merch. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we got merch. So what better way to support something you love than by repping it on yourself? Game Over's apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. 3 unique lines. Whoops, I can read. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design or want to make a statement with our established design, want to wear your love for goalies proudly with our live and die by the goalie design, or if you just need another cup of coffee and a toque to get through the winter, we have you covered. Designed by Brady from Game Over Winnipeg, use a QR code on stream now and take a look at our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. So we are now at the point of the show, if I hit the button, where we just kind of take a look at the chat and see what people are talking about. I do want to address one thing really quick that's in the chat, though, while we're on the 67s. Matthew says, wasn't CC actually good with the 67s? And, like, yeah, that team was fun, man. Cody Ceci, Sean Monahan, Tyler Toffoli. Fucking Shane Prince is a completely forgotten about absolute monster in the OHL. Peter Mrazek and net, like those were a couple of really fun teams. I remember how upset I was that they lost to Niagara in the playoffs. I thought that was the year they're going to go all the way. They lost to Niagara, and I believe it was, I think Dougie Hamilton was on Was Dougie Hamilton on Niagara?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, and then did they have was Mark Byzantine in that? I think I need to go back and look, but like I feel like
I'm pretty sure you're correct on all of these. I can't confirm because
Mark
again, I
Byzantine,
would have
another
been
member of the
like,
long line of cursed World Junior Team Canada goalies.
yeah.
Oh, the subject of DiPietro. So, uh, I was every time Canada's a goalie, I'm like, you're not going to be an NHLer. So yeah, CC was great with the 67s. To put into perspective, I mean, granted, he was drafted when I was like 15, but I was so psyched when the Sens drafted him. I was so excited.
I was so sad when we did not pick Konechny
Oh,
and
me
we
too.
skipped on him twice and picked Colin White instead, and I cried that night. I was so sad.
I tried to be rational. I wanted to be like, well, yeah, obviously I love Travis Konechny because I watched him like almost every game in person at home. So, for those who don't know, Travis Konechny was a first overall pick for the 67s following the year where they just where everyone just aged out. They were so bad that year. I believe that year when everyone got too old and took off, I think I remember Mike Tchaikovsky became like an offensive defenseman because he just got all the ice time in the world. Like he just kind of like started lighting it up a little bit. But they were awful, and they picked Konechny first overall. And at this point was during the time of all the Reno going on at Lansdowne, so they were playing in Canada.
Oh yeah.
Which was awesome because my mom was really good friends with Brian Kilrea's daughter, and we just kept getting their tickets because they could never make it to games. And so my mom and I went to every home game while they were when they were playing in Canada. And my God, did Konechny stand out as a 16-year-old on a team? Granted, the rest of the team around him sucked, but he was so good. He looked completely out of place on that team. And so when the Sens didn't draft him, in my brain I was like, no, like you only really want the Sens to draft because I knew he was really good, but it's because he's the guy I watched all the time. Give these other guys a chance. I should have like listened to my gut. Like, no, they should have taken him. My God.
Yeah. I always mourn that pick.
Draft. Unbelievable. Unreal.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Ryan says scratch Gaudette all day every day. Okay, we've got a scratch Gaudette on the board. I don't know if it means putting Crookshank in. Do you agree?
You're really asking me that as if there's any possibility of
I don't know.
considering another
answer.
answer.
You could say no. It could be an amazing moment.
No, I'm not for that kind of character growth. I'm sorry. I will always be pro putting Angus in. But yeah, like I think Matthew was talking about saying scratch Highmore instead, but I don't like. I think you need to scratch two guys to make the lineup work, right? Like you need to, if you want to have room. It's because his Cousins is coming back, right?
For sure.
So even if you have Gaudette in, as we said, there's the 10 guys we mentioned that could be playing top 9, and then you add on Cousins, Gaudette, Crookshank, like two of those players. You maybe add Highmore, maybe they end up playing him. I'm not saying they should, but like two of those four will likely be taking up the last two slots on the fourth line.
Yeah, definitely.
Another scratch Highmore from Matthew. Yes.
What else we got here? Kelly with a really good point about Giroux. We were talking about him earlier. Either the best or one of the best faceoff guys in the league as well. I'm never against that extra high chance of Tkachuk and Stützle having puck possession off the rip whenever they're out there for the start of a shift. Jay's big win from Ryan in chat. Did the Jays come back and win? That's a good. I don't know. They were down.
That would be cruel if they didn't. And then saying that,
I would be so
they
upset.
did.
Oh, they 7-6. Look at that.
In the 10th. That's crazy.
I'll have to watch the highlights for that one. I saw it was 4-2 for Baltimore at one point.
Okay. So do you want me to not say anything more then about it? Because
no, I'm
looking at the Jays scored 3 in the 8th. to tie it. Yeah.
Okay, I definitely gotta watch that. I definitely gotta watch the highlights on that one.
Yeah.
God, what else? What else we got out here? God. Ryan points out, we beat them with our B game, and like, yeah, it's a tough lineup on paper for the Sens. It looked rough, but it helps playing the Flyers when you're gonna rest guys.
Well, this is the thing that I mentioned when we were talking earlier about the game before we got on. Is it was very evident that we didn't have our full team playing because there were pucks being bobbled, passes being sent into skates. Just the fluidity was not there. But we were not like we were playing as the better team. We 100% were, because the neutral state of the Flyers roster currently is pretty much that, except with way worse goaltending. Like I'm pretty sure if I were to check my data, I think their tandem ranks last amongst in terms of performance this year.
Yeah,
like it's
like I imagine
really
they do a
sad.
similar thing against Chicago, right? They'll probably sit a whole bunch. But then it's Carolina to end the season, right? So
yeah, they should put together as much, well, maybe not as much of a roster. Like anyone that needs rest them. But like, don't willingly do what you did today and sit out a bunch of guys. Like this is like your final tune-up. Get ready, get used to line mates. For Tkachuk, I hope Tkachuk plays that game. Like I know it's like, oh, if like sit him out until the first game of the playoffs, but it'd be nice to just get back in the groove with a game and really be like, okay, I'm fully healthy. Let's
for
rip.
sure. Yeah, 100%. The idea of injuries terrifies me, but like you got to make sure that they aren't cold going into game one. That's a terrible idea. Let's see here. Kelly says, I need to check what the Sens record has been since I posted the picture of my cat when she crawled into my Sens jersey. It's probably pretty good. They've been on fire. They've been playing really, really well lately.
I think we're third. Actually, before this game even happened, we were third in the league in points percentage since March 1st. And the only team in the top 5 that's in the Eastern Conference. Like it's St. Louis is first, then Vegas, Ottawa, LA, Colorado.
Also, what's happening with St. Louis this year? What? That's crazy.
Okay, so my entire we're the only ones like on both sides of my family that aren't in Winnipeg. Both my parents grew up in Winnipeg. So I have a special place in my heart for the Jets as well. Like whenever the Sens were bad throughout all these years, the Jets, and obviously whoever was playing against the Leafs in the first round, was like what I was focusing on. Like that 2018 run was awesome. I really went kind of all in on Jets that year. And
yeah, I thought the dynasty was incoming right there.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's been tough. Like it's been tough in this household for hockey success. But that's the thing is I hope the Jets don't play the Blues. I really don't. I do not want to see it happen. Like I hope Calgary squeaks in or that Minnesota ends up as the second wild card. I know Minnesota's scary as well because they've been bad because of all the injuries they've had. Like Kaprizov finally came back. Eriksson finally came back.
And also, you don't want to cheer against Marco Rossi. We've established this.
It's not up now, but I do have a Rossi jersey. Exactly. He's just such an easy guy to root for. I'm actually surprised. I don't even have a Crookshank jersey up. I currently have like a Zub, an SNES Sens, and it's a Hoffman, but it's the Heritage cream from 2013 or 14. The 2 Crookshank jerseys are in the closet currently. They're taking a well-deserved rest. Yeah.
They've earned it. They've earned it with that primary assist.
Exactly.
I think that's a pretty good spot to wrap things up. We went long on this one, man. Time flew by.
Listen, when do we not? This is the thing. Every time that I feel like I hop on, it's like, oh wow, it's been an hour 20. That's crazy.
Every single time. Every time. And what's so funny too, because I didn't take very many notes. I was like, this will be a quick episode. We'll just talk about like playoff matchups and stuff. No, never. It's never gonna happen. But yeah, I think I think I don't know. I don't want to. Okay, so I always try to like not be too in the dumps when things are going poorly, and I try not to be overly hype and like just like go full homer mode where the Sens are doing well. But
I mean, this is the best opportunity to do that. Let's do it. Let's just go full homer to end it off. Like, we're going into the playoffs. It's been 8 years. This is the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So sweep the Leafs, and then do we get the Tkachuk Bowl round 2?
Oh, that one's gonna be. Oh, listen. Yeah, I got no words. That'd be crazy. That would be insane. That would be cinema peak right there.
Let's see here. So the Sens have scored 233 goals this season. Do the Sens in this hypothetical Tkachuk Bowl's second round, what's going to be the higher number? Goals scored for the Sens this season, or penalty minutes taken by the Sens in that series?
I don't even know where to begin with that estimate, Charlie.
I don't think we get that everyone on the ice is a 10-minute misconduct in the playoffs, but like, you never know. You never know what could happen there.
I mean, listen, this is all if Matthew Tkachuk is healthy by that point. We don't know for sure that he will, do we? Like, he's still not playing. I don't think he's been confirmed to be back for game 1 unless I missed something. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that one would be crazy. Like, even before the last couple of years where it's been getting really feisty, I've been saying, like, Sens Panthers have a sneaky rivalry going on. Like, every time they play, it's nasty.
Oh, it's
like,
so
really
mean, dude.
disgusting.
Every time.
Yeah. Listen, it'd be interesting. I probably would prefer playing them over Tampa, but either way, it'll be ugly for sure. But yeah. I'll be relishing every single part of it for sure. Yeah.
I feel like the Sens wins over Tampa this season have been like convincing. And was the one win against the Panthers when Allmark stole it to open the season? Was that the one win against the Panthers this year?
Yeah. So the 2 games that we beat the Panthers were Allmark steals. Hold on. No, sorry. Allmark steal and then Forsberg shutout when we got dominated.
That's right. And yeah.
The first game we beat the Lightning was a 6-4 win, I'm pretty sure, at home. And then the other one was also at home, and that was right before the Panthers when it was like Allmark going pretty crazy. I didn't get to watch much of it because I had some hockey games of my own that night.
I don't know how I already forgot that 3-0 floor. It was like, what, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? Like, I should have
exactly.
That.
But all of those wins were close, and we probably didn't deserve to win 3 of those 4. Like, that's why it scares me, really. Whereas there's found success with the Leafs. But anyway, we've been over that.
From a purely entertainment standpoint, just for the good of the league in general, Battle of Ontario and Battle of Florida in the first round, it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be so good. So good. Not for my heart, but for, like, the good of the game.
Oh, no, that would be disastrous. Yeah, that like...
It's going to kill me.
The resting heart rate throughout that 2-week span would be just through the roof, really.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think with that we'll wrap things up. Notice I didn't say the result of that Florida series. I said the Sens are going to sweep the Leafs, then it's going to be the Tkachuk Bowl, and things probably won't go great from there. That's where the positivity ends. Either way, I do think the Sens have a very good chance against the Leafs, especially since now it seems to be just about clinched. I mean, Tampa probably won't pass the Leafs, so I think safe to say Battle of Ontario happening very soon. And I mean, it's the Leafs, so they're going to get the primetime spots. So is that going to be what, final game of the season's Thursday, game 1 Saturday night?
I think that's a possibility. I've also heard that East games, specifically Sens Leafs, might start Sunday, but Saturday would make more sense for primetime, right? Like a Saturday night Battle of Ontario game. And that would mean game 1 at home would be either the Wednesday or Thursday night if they're doing every other day. So I'm already mentally preparing for like buying tickets and like being like, okay, I'm good for those nights. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting though. The fact that we're thinking about that, that's so great.
I know. I was just talking to people yesterday that we were having over. It's like, hey, like, do you want to go to the game? Like, I can't believe we're saying this, but we have to plan like weeks in advance now to make sure that we're free for hockey. Like, it's great.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll end things this way because Matthew, I guess, wasn't here at the beginning of the show when I hit the button, but he's requesting the Sens button, so I'm just going to hit it again. Philadelphia Flyers got Sens, and you know, I didn't even bring up the whole. He pointed out in the chat danger flutes. I still haven't, you know, I've avoided complaining about the whole Hell's Bells thing instead of danger flutes to open the games. I think every Sens fan's in agreement that's stupid, but we could talk about that for the next 20 minutes. So we should just wrap up now before we like have a full movie run time
100%.
here. So, thank you again. Every time you're on the show, it takes like 10 minutes to get through an hour and a half. It feels like every single time. It just goes so fast. Please feel free to plug whatever you want, all your hockey goings on and everything.
Yeah, so you can find me personally on Blue Sky, just my full name, Louis Boulet. You'll find me there. That's pretty much the only place where I really post that much. LB Hockey has its own account there, although I post mostly on my own. And you can check out everything that I do for LB Hockey at lbhockey.com. So that's lb-hockey.com, where I have a bunch of dashboards, visualizations, articles, and the such regarding the whole league, but some articles specifically focusing on the Sens, which people in here will like to see. So that's pretty much it. Actually, another thing, I don't plug Zoopcast that often because we still don't record as much, but we have something pretty fun planned to record tomorrow. I will say it's a big crossover with another Sens podcast that we are recording, and I think it'll be pretty fun. Personally, we've been planning this for a little bit, and it'll probably be out later next week, but it's going to be a good time for sure.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, Louis. It's always a blast. Maybe next time it'll be again against the Flyers after OT or something. I don't know.
In the cup final somehow. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing many guests for the playoffs. I think all the hosts are going to want to be on as many shows as possible, so we might not have room for guests. So might not be till next year, but you know, who knows? We'll see. We'll see how things go. And for everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And I believe Damien is hosting the next show. Let me just, I feel like I need to, you know, queue up the next show so everyone knows what's going on here in Game Over Ottawa land. It's actually going to be Maude hosting on Tuesday night against the Blackhawks. And then Maude and I are going to be hosting that final regular season game Thursday night after the Sens play the Hurricanes. And we're going to just do a big old playoff preview and probably be nervous the entire episode. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time.